Welcome to Hauntcore Vault. If you are ready for horror tales, you are in the right place. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel. I'd love to know where are you from and what time you are watching. Let's begin. I was 14. It was an average night, around 9 p.m. Me and my little cousin are at his house. I'm babysitting for the night while my mom and aunt are shopping, and my dad and uncle are at the movie theater. So we're sitting there, and I was feeling really strange. Something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it, so I just kept watching TV with my cousin. The feeling wasn't going away, so I got up and walked to the back door to lock it. When I came back through the kitchen, I saw what was causing my weird feeling. In the window, there was a very decrepit and homeless-looking man, just staring into the window, looking at my cousin. Protective mode turned on. I pretended like I didn't see the guy, and I told my little cousin that we needed to go upstairs because our parents would be home soon, and they wouldn't want him to be staying up late. So I went upstairs and put him to bed, knowing damn well that there was a man outside that wanted in. I was about 125 pounds and 5'8" at the time, and I played football for my school. If I remember correctly, I went downstairs and straight into the kitchen and grabbed one of those meat tenderizing hammers. Turned back to the window where I saw him before. Not there. Ran back to the front door and checked that it was locked. Both the deadbolt and the knob were locked. Ran back upstairs with my meat tenderizer and went into my cousin's room and sat down in front of the door. He asked me what I was doing, and I said that he didn't need to worry about it and that he should keep his head low. Called the cops and then my dad and uncle. Cops would take half an hour, and my dad and uncle were 45 minutes away. Then I hear a window shatter and the sound of heavy boots walking around on the main floor. I told my cousin to stay calm, hide under the covers, and to keep silent. I could hear the guy walking around downstairs. It was horrifying. I gripped that damn meat tenderizer and waited. About 5 minutes pass, and then I hear the boots walking upstairs. At this point, I was having a freaking heart attack. My cousin's door is no more than 10 feet from the stairs. I heard him opening the doors to my aunt and uncle's room, then the bathroom. He walked back downstairs, and I heard him open the door to the basement. 15 minutes later, the police showed up and burst into the house. Turned out the guy was loose from a mental hospital 1 province away. Was living in a split-level duplex with my ex, 4 cats, and a foster black lab mix. The cats never went in the lower level, family room that I made an office, exercise room, bedroom, and laundry bathroom, and the dog hated being down there. I always had a feeling of being watched, but I chalked it up to there being windows at street level since it was a daylight basement. I had 2 weird experiences, but only the second one qualifies for Home Alone. I'll include the first for context. The first one, I figured it was just my imagination getting the best of me since I didn't like being downstairs. I was doing laundry with my headphones in. My ex was upstairs gaming and completely oblivious to anything going on around him. As I was putting my clothes into wash, I heard someone snapping their fingers in my ear, like they were next to me and trying to get my attention. No one was there. For the second experience, my ex and half our animals were out of the house for the day visiting his family in nearby big city. I was downstairs printing off some coupons since it was the early aughts and I didn't have a smartphone. I heard the front door unlock, open, and close, and heard feet on the landing. I called out, "Hey, you're back early," since, well, who else could it be? I walked to the bottom of the stairs, expecting to see my ex on the landing with a very excited dog and 2 very annoyed cats, but there was no one there. No one parked in the driveway. No one parked in the road. No one was home at the neighbors. The cats were upstairs and perfectly uninterested. I called my ex, and he was still in big city and slightly freaked out when I told him what I heard. He raced back, and we decided that if he left again, he should leave the dog since he seemed to be sensitive and would make me feel safer. I've never had auditory hallucinations before or since. This happened a long time ago, back in 1989. I hope I can tell the story in a way that conveys just how bad this scared me. I still don't know what it really was or what happened, so I make no claims as to the explanation. I still think about this sometimes. I was 19 years old and I was working in an after-school care that was ran out of the building of a small church in the rural southern town where I lived. The church was really small and in the shape of an L, with a door at the top of the L, the sanctuary at the elbow of the L, and a door at the short end of the L. There was also a full basement that was furnished and used for the Sunday school rooms and where the kids from the after-school program did homework and played games sometimes. There were only about 12 or 13 kids in the program most of the time, and I think one time we swelled to something like a whopping 17. Because the church was small and the community was small, there were no aspirations to have a large program, and the entire thing was really to provide a service to parents in the church. Anyway, what I would do every weekday was attend community college classes in the morning and then go straight from classes to the church and work on homework or read until the kids were dropped off by the school bus. I usually had between 2 to 2.5 hours either completely alone in the church or sometimes the pastor would stop by and work in his office, but mostly I was alone. I never heard or saw anything at all, and I was locked inside the building so no one could come in. Even when the kids were there, the doors stayed locked for safety. I did this for a full year and a summer, and then, the second year, my best friend at the time came to work with me. She and I were both pretty serious kids in the sense that we didn't drink or do drugs, we weren't into anything occult or spooky, just normal young girls who went to college classes and went to work. One day, not too long after she started working with me, I had the kids in the basement playing games while some of them worked on homework. The deal was that one of us would prepare snack in the kitchen upstairs while the other one entertained the kids. She was upstairs making snack when all of a sudden I hear the door at the top of the basement stairs open and she comes running down the stairs calling my name. I could hear the fear in her voice, so I met her at the bottom of the stairs and she's scared. She was not one to be dramatic at all, and I had never seen her scared before, and I'd known her since the 8th grade. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, in a trembling voice, that she'd heard someone in the sanctuary. I said, "What? No way! We're here by ourselves. It must be your imagination." But she was adamant that she'd heard someone upstairs in the sanctuary, and she was scared to death. Again, I told her she must be mistaken, and she said, "I'm not kidding. There's somebody up there moving around in the sanctuary, and I saw something. I don't know what it was." The sanctuary, in the elbow of the L shape of the church, was right beside the kitchen where she'd been preparing snack. I was a brave kid and had more bravery than brains at the time. I told her to stay in the basement with the kids and that I was going up to check it out. That scared her as well, and she told me not to go. It really was a stupid thing for me to do, considering that if someone had been up there, I could have been attacked and I really wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. But anyway, I went up to the top of the stairs and stuck my head out the door and first made sure no one was in the hallway. Next, I checked all of the Sunday school rooms down the long arm of the L, along with the pastor's office. I found nothing, so by this time I was sure she'd heard the wind, it was fall and windy, or heard the foundation of the building settle, and it spooked her. Next, I checked the bathrooms at the short end of the L and made sure that all of the doors to the building were locked. No one had come into the building since we got there, and the doors had been locked when I arrived that day, so I was absolutely sure we were alone. Next, I walked up to the door of the sanctuary and looked through the small window at the top of the door and saw nothing. There was a row of pews on each side of the sanctuary, a pulpit up front, and on the left side of the pulpit was a closed door that led to the choir area. So I opened one of the doors and walked into the sanctuary and slowly made my way up to about halfway of the pews, and I stopped and looked around. Everything was dead silent. I said, "Hello? Is there anybody here? Hello?" And just as I finished saying that, the door to the left-hand side of the pulpit slowly swung all the way open. I can't really put into words the feeling that hit my body. The blood drained down out of my torso and into my legs, which both tried to run and were bolted to the floor at the same time. A jolt of adrenaline surged through my body, and at the same time, I felt like I was moving in slow motion as I turned and bolted out of the sanctuary and down the stairs, yelling to get the kids out of the building. We got the kids out back and debated what to do. This was the time before cell phones, so one of us still had to go back inside and call the pastor, or we all had to stand outside and wait for a parent or someone from the church to come by and check things out, which could be a very long time. I went back inside to the pastor's office and quickly used the phone to call his house and ask for someone to come by. When the church was searched, nothing was found, and everyone thought we had overactive imaginations. Like I said in the beginning, I make no claims as to what opened that door or what my friend heard, but something or someone was in that church with us that day, and I never felt comfortable alone there again. I was home alone when the doorbell rang. It was close to 10, I remember, because I just checked the time before drifting off again. My parents were still out at some charity event, and I was half asleep on the couch, scrolling through my phone with one earbud in. That chime cut through the quiet, sharp and unexpected. We don't get late visitors. I sat up and checked the front door camera on my phone. We've got one of those smart doorbells with the live video feed. I waited for someone to appear on the porch. But nothing. The feed showed the empty front step, the porch light casting weird, stretched shadows from the shrubs. I watched for a full 30 seconds. No movement, no packages, no prank. I figured maybe it was a glitch, or the wind, or maybe I thought I'd heard it. I was tired. Then, just as I was setting my phone down, ding dong, I jumped. But this time, the sound came from the back door, which made no sense. We don't have a doorbell back there. I paused, staring toward the kitchen. I remember standing up real slow, trying to listen. My heart started to thud a little. I told myself it could have been a notification from some other app, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. The sound had come from the back door. I crept through the kitchen toward the door that led to the backyard. No lights were on outside. The motion sensor porch light should have clicked on, but the yard was pitch black. I stood there for a second, hand hovering near the blinds. I didn't want to look. Every part of me knew not to. But I looked anyway. Just shadows, grass, fence, trees. Still, it didn't feel right, the kind of silence that presses in on your ears. That's when my phone buzzed. Camera 1 offline. I stared at the screen. What? I tapped the app. It glitched for a second. Then, for a split moment, the feed came back. There was something there. Something right up against the lens. Not a face, just a shape. Tall, still. Then, static. The screen went black. I backed away from the back door, adrenaline surging through me. Then, I heard it. Knock. A slow, deliberate knock, right behind me. I turned to face the door again. Knock, knock, knock. Louder. I didn't even think. I bolted, full sprint through the living room toward the front door. I didn't care what was going on. I just wanted out. I grabbed the handle, and just as I was about to yank it open, ding dong, the front doorbell. I froze. It couldn't be. I swung it open anyway. No hesitation this time. No one. Just our quiet street, empty. No cars, no footsteps. Just the wind and the soft buzz of porch lights from the neighbors' homes. Then I heard something behind me. A soft, deliberate tapping. Tap, tap, tap. I turned, slowly, and caught a glimpse in the hallway mirror. There was someone standing at the back door. I couldn't see a face, just a silhouette. Tall, thin, completely still. And in their hand, something metallic. It caught the light. Maybe a phone. Maybe a tool. They raised it. Knock, knock, knock. I backed away in a daze and ran upstairs,
slammed my bedroom door, locked it, pushed my desk in front of it. I grabbed my laptop. Maybe I could email someone, call for help. It was already on. The screen was open to a blank text document, and typed on it were 6 words. You shouldn't have ignored the update. My blood went cold. Then another line typed itself. Now we're installing ours instead. Before I could touch anything, the laptop shut down. My phone was already dead. I just sat there in the dark, barely breathing. They said later there was no sign of forced entry, nothing stolen technically. Just missing. My phone, my laptop, even the front camera itself. Like someone had walked in, quietly, and taken only what they needed. The police called it a targeted hack. They said I probably had malware, something piggybacked onto my devices through a vulnerability. I'd turned off auto updates weeks ago because they were annoying, always popping up, slowing things down. I thought I was being smart. Turns out I wasn't the only one. They found similar cases all over town. Smart homes being probed, doorbells triggering themselves, cameras blinking out, motion lights never turning on. All of them traced back to devices that had skipped recent security updates. Most people just had files stolen. Some lost money. Me? I lost something else. I keep thinking about that message. Now we're installing ours instead. Because I never got my devices back. But I still hear the doorbell sometimes, late at night. And sometimes it comes from the back, where there was never a doorbell at all.
I was home alone that night. My parents were out late and the house was dead quiet. I was curled up in bed, scrolling on my phone, when I heard it. Scratching. It was coming from under my bed. I froze. Then I rolled my eyes. "Milo," I whispered. It had to be my cat. He does this sometimes. Crawls under there, gets stuck, or just wants attention. I leaned over the edge and whispered again. "Milo?" No response. The scratching stopped. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, then slowly leaned down to look. But Milo wasn't under the bed. He was behind me, up on my dresser, staring down at the floor. I turned and looked at him. He was frozen, tail puffed, ears flat. Then he let out this low, guttural growl I'd never heard from him before. He was staring at the floor, right where the sound had come from. I felt this chill crawl up my spine. I looked back under the bed. Nothing. Just shoes, dust, the usual. Then Milo hissed, loud and violent. I jumped and nearly dropped my phone. I looked at him again. Now he was standing, back arched, fur standing on end, eyes locked on that same spot under my bed, still growling. I whispered, "What the hell?" Then I heard it again. The scratch. But this time, it wasn't the floorboards. It sounded like fingernails on the underside of my mattress, from inside the box spring. I bolted out of the room so fast I don't even remember hitting the floor. I grabbed Milo and ran downstairs, phone shaking in my hand as I dialed my mom. She thought I was imagining things, told me to breathe, check again. So I waited downstairs, lights on, every single one. When they got home, my dad went upstairs to check. He found nothing under the bed. But here's the thing. He did find something weird. The thin fabric underneath the box spring, that soft lining, it had been cut open from the inside, like someone had crawled into the mattress. We got rid of the bed the next day. And now, I never ignore my cat again. I was brushing my teeth last night when I saw him, just a glimpse, in the mirror. A man standing behind me.
I froze, toothbrush in hand, foam still in my mouth. He was tall, pale, wearing something old, like a suit from a funeral. I turned around immediately. No one was there, just the bathroom, silent, empty. I looked back at the mirror. He was closer. I nearly dropped my toothbrush. I turned again. Nothing. Empty space. Even checked behind the door. Then I slowly looked back at the mirror. He was right behind me now. His face was wrong. The eyes were black, the mouth too wide, like it had been cut into his face. And he was smiling. I backed away from the sink, heart pounding. But the mirror image didn't match. I was backing away, but he was still standing right there behind my reflection, not moving, just smiling. Then I blinked, and the mirror cracked right down the middle. Just a single sharp fracture from top to bottom. But here's the thing, only in the reflection. I turned and looked at the real mirror. It was fine, no crack, no one behind me. But in the reflection, he lifted a hand and started to wave. Slow, mechanical, like he knew I couldn't stop watching. I don't remember going to bed. I think I blacked out or something. But when I woke up this morning, there was something stuck to the mirror. A note, handwritten in shaky letters. Next time, don't turn around.
I was home alone when I got the notification. Motion detected, living room camera. I paused, toothbrush in hand, still locked in the bathroom. I figured maybe it was the cat, but I don't have a cat. My stomach dropped. I opened the app, expecting nothing, but the live feed loaded, and there he was. A man, standing in the middle of my living room, waving at the camera. Not casually, not like he'd just noticed it, like he knew I was watching. I couldn't breathe. He was tall, wearing dark clothes, no mask, no attempt to hide, just smiling, waving. I backed away from the phone like it would help, my mind racing. The front door was locked, the windows too, I was sure of it. And I was in the bathroom, the only room with no windows, only one way in or out. I called 911. The operator asked if I could leave the bathroom safely. I said no. She told me to stay on the line, but the call cut out, just gone. I stared at my phone, no signal, no Wi-Fi, nothing. I opened the camera feed again, my hands shaking. He was closer now, standing right in front of the camera, still smiling, still waving. Then he stepped out of frame. I held my breath. The app said, "No motion detected." But I could hear something. Footsteps, slow, heavy, getting closer. I grabbed the only thing I could, a glass bottle of shampoo, and stood behind the door, every muscle in my body screaming. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 soft knocks on the bathroom door. Then, silence. No breathing, no footsteps, no sound. Just one more notification on my phone. Motion detected. Bathroom camera. I don't have a bathroom camera. I was exhausted. Long day. I went to my room, shut the door behind me, and collapsed onto the bed without even turning off the light. I remember the click as I closed the door, that soft sound of it catching in the frame. But I didn't lock it. I never lock it from the inside. No need. A few minutes went by. I was just lying there, half asleep, when I heard it. Jiggle, Jiggle. The doorknob. At first, I thought maybe it was just the house settling, or maybe my hand brushed the bed frame, something. But then it happened again. Jiggle. Click. Click. Someone was trying to open my door. I sat up fast, suddenly wide awake. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. I got up, crossed the room, and reached for the knob. It wouldn't turn. I tried again. Locked. From the outside. My heart skipped. I rattled it harder. Still locked. I called out louder this time. "Is someone there?" Nothing. I texted my roommate. "Hey, did you lock my door just now?" No response. I tried calling, straight to voicemail. I banged on the door hard. This isn't funny. No footsteps, no laughter, no one walking away. Just silence. Then a tap, right outside the door. Slow, rhythmic, not knocking, tapping, like fingernails. I backed away. Suddenly, I heard a voice, but not from the hallway, from behind me. Soft, right in my ear. "Shh, they'll hear you." I spun around. No one was there. And when I turned back, the door was wide open. I was just watching TV. Nothing special. Some late-night rerun, volume low, lights off. Then the screen glitched, just for a second. I figured it was the cable. But then the emergency broadcast system tone started playing, that high-pitched drone that makes your stomach twist even when it's a test. A red banner flashed across the screen. "Emergency alert! A dangerous individual is in your area." Then a voice came on, robotic but urgent. "Authorities are searching for a man who escaped custody earlier tonight. He is considered extremely dangerous. Residents in the following area are advised to lock all doors and remain inside." And then the alert changed. The banner at the bottom of the screen updated to show my street name, then my house number. I just sat there, frozen. The broadcast continued. Live security footage from a nearby home has captured the suspect's current location. The screen cut to grainy security cam footage. I recognized the room immediately. It was my living room, my couch, my TV, from a high angle, like a ceiling cam I don't own. And there I was, on screen, sitting on the couch, watching TV, watching myself. And behind me, a man, standing perfectly still, in the shadows. I turned around in real life, my heart in my throat. No one was there. But on the screen, he took a step closer. I jumped up, backing away from the couch. He stayed on screen, exactly where I'd just been sitting. Still there, still staring. Then the power went out. Pitch black, no TV, no lights, no sound. Except a single floorboard, creaking, right behind me. I didn't move. Couldn't. I was standing in the dark, heart pounding, barely breathing, listening. Another creak, closer. I spun around, waving my phone, trying to use the screen as a light. Nothing. I backed into the hallway, still in total darkness, and slammed the bedroom door shut behind me. Locked it. I crouched in the corner, shaking, phone in hand, 3% battery. I opened the camera app and turned on the flash. And that's when I saw it. Not in the room. On my screen. The live stream was still playing, even though the power was out, even though the TV was off. The emergency broadcast was still running on my phone, still showing my living room, still showing him. Except now, he wasn't standing, he was sitting, on my couch, holding the remote.
And watching the footage too. If you're seeing this, the broadcast voice said, it's already too late.
We were only downstairs for maybe 20 minutes, just enough time to eat dinner, finally, in peace, while the baby slept upstairs. The monitor was sitting on the table next to me, quiet except for the occasional soft rustle from the crib. We were halfway through dinner when I heard it. A voice, whispering, "Shh, you'll wake them." I paused, fork halfway to my mouth. My husband froze too. "Did you just hear?" "Yeah." We both stared at the monitor. Nothing but soft static now. No crying, no whispering. I stood up. "That wasn't your voice, right?" He shook his head, eyes wide. I didn't wait. I ran upstairs. The second I reached the top, I heard crying, loud, panicked. My baby's cry. I pushed open the door to the nursery. He was in the crib, red-faced, sobbing, arms reaching out. And the window, wide open, curtains flapping in the breeze. We never leave that window open. I grabbed him, clutching him close, heart racing. I looked around the room, no one there, nothing out of place. Except the monitor camera. It had been moved, tilted, facing away from the crib, toward the window. I yelled for my husband. He came up with his phone out, already calling the police. But here's the thing. There were no signs of forced entry. No footprints, no fingerprints, no evidence anyone had been there. Just an open window, a crying baby, and that voice. That wasn't ours. The cops said maybe it was interference, someone nearby picking up our monitor frequency by accident. Yeah, maybe. But I can't stop thinking about what the voice said. Not, "You'll wake the baby." "Shh, you'll wake them." The cops left an hour later, saying the same thing they always do. No sign of forced entry, no real threat. Probably just interference, a sick prank. Keep your doors and windows locked. Let us know if anything else happens. But later that night, after we finally got the baby back to sleep, I checked the monitor footage. We have a cloud backup that records whenever there's noise. I played the clip back. At first, it was just static, the baby shifting in his sleep. Then, the whisper. "Shh, you'll wake them." I turned the volume all the way up. You could hear breathing, close, too close. And then, just before the baby started crying, something else. Another whisper, a different voice, softer, higher. "Sorry." My skin went cold. I replayed it over and over. That second voice? It came from the crib, like something was in there with him. But here's what really got me. At the very end of the clip, right before the window slams open, you hear footsteps, not running away, but walking back toward the camera. And then, right before the feed cuts out, a single sentence spoken in a voice that wasn't mine, wasn't my husband's. "They're awake now."